Hello, I'm Phil Ensman. I'm going to talk you through the Monopoly diagram today, one of the most useful diagrams to understand in the whole of Econ 3, as it can be used to show many things and can be used in a great deal of different situations regarding exam questions. First, I'll start by helping you to remember how to draw it correctly, then some of the things we can use it for. The first thing we need to know is how to label the axes. We're not looking at this diagram from the market's point of view, so we can't use P and Q. We're looking at it from the firm's point of view, and firms worry about costs, revenues, and outputs. Now that the reality of what we face has set in, we need to start worrying. This is a daunting task facing us, and in an exam situation, the pressure is on. We need to feel scared. Scared, and there you were thinking I was going to help you, but so far I've just raised your adrenaline levels by 0.00005%. Typical economist living life on the edge. There are only 4 curves on this diagram. Even though it looks incredibly complicated, it's actually pretty simple. As long as you remember a few steps, the first of which is to feel scared. Scared, like when you're walking down a dark alleyway late at night and from the other end comes a shadowy figure. He's big, he's scary, he's Mr. Odd. Reading from left to right, that is the order in which the only 2 revenue curves in the diagram come. Mr. followed by AR, which is the same as the demand curve, hence AR equals D. Okay, so we've got past Mr. Odd. Phew, that's a relief. How do we feel now? Happy? Happy when we see a chicken, or when we see a Cadillac, a cheeseburger, a clown, whatever begins with C that makes you smile. AC, the smiley face. After the relief of getting past Mr. Odd, it makes us happy and also makes us 3/4 of the way through the curves. All we need to do now is to check that we've done everything correctly. And if we have, give ourselves a big tick straight through the bottom of the AC curve. The tick signifies what we've done is marvellously correct, or MC, marginal cost. Now we've drawn our Monopoly diagram, a bit like the England football team. It's just 4 lions, or lines, or something. Remember this from this nonsense. Feel scared, feel happy, give yourself a big tick, you're done. Of course, it doesn't show you anything yet, that bit is still to come. But if you don't draw it correctly, you won't gain any marks from it. Okay, so the first thing we need to know is how to label the supernormal profit that Monopoly could make. This is the most likely use of the diagram that you will need. In order to do this, our first point of call, which is the same for all of the market structures, don't ever forget, is to find the output level where the firm would choose to operate, the profit maximising output. If we assume that firms are in business to make profits in the long term, then whatever the competition level they face, they will always choose to produce at an output level where MC equals MR. This needs to be remembered. MC equals MR. Drill it into your head, however you can. It is important. My cat equals my rat is a phrase students have been known to memorise. I don't know why it works, but it does, so use it. So, we identify MC equals MR. This shows us how much the firms want to produce to maximise profits, the profit maximising output. Any other level of output will mean less profit for the firm. This is how much they want to produce if they want to make as much profit as possible. This is always at an output level where MC equals MR. Whatever the market structure, oligopoly, perfect competition, they're all exactly the same. MC equals MR. So we find the right output level. Now we need to find out how much revenue the company will gain from each unit that it sells. So we need to go up to the average revenue curve and across to the y-axis to see how much revenue we make from each unit that we sell. R1. This is the price that the customer is charged, and the amount of customers we have is represented by the output level, PMO. So our total revenue is our average revenue, R1, multiplied by the number of units sold, PMO. But what we are looking for really is not revenue, but profit. More specifically, supernormal or abnormal profit. To identify this, we need to work out what our costs are. This is simply identified on the diagram by seeing what our average cost per unit is at the PMO. If our average cost of production is £3, but our average revenue is £5, our supernormal profit is £2 per unit. That's the vertical distance between the AC and AR curves. Now we just need to multiply that by the number of units we sell, the PMO. If that's 100, then it shows us the total amount of supernormal profit we can make is 100 units times £2 per unit. I'm no mathematician, but I think that works out about £17. Oh, £200. That is how we use a monopoly diagram to show supernormal profit. If you face an essay question on monopolies, lots of times, particularly if you're comparing with other market structures, the two biggest conflicts are around efficiencies. PC markets should be productively and allocatively efficient, whereas monopolies can use their supernormal profit to be dynamically efficient. Dynamic efficiency cannot be pointed to on a diagram. Supernormal profit can be, but a good evaluation point is that it doesn't have to be reinvested to improve products or production methods, as there is no competition in the market. Productive efficiency, however, a static efficiency, can be shown on a diagram. Productive efficiency means that the firm is able to produce goods at their lowest possible cost. This occurs at an output where average cost is at its lowest point, which is always where AC equals MC. One common mistake the students make is to draw their AC curve like this. As they're unsure where it's supposed to go, and that looks as good a place as any, the only problem with that is you just create an extremely desirable monopoly that is productively efficient. Sadly, you have not only shown a lack of understanding of the topic, but you've also just killed one of your arguments. Don't do it. It's quite difficult to understand why a monopoly wouldn't want to be productively efficient. To have the cost of production as low as possible surely makes sense. But what you need to think about is why would they want to cut costs? Their main priority is making profits. And whilst reducing costs and increasing revenues leads to more profit, there is only one output that maximises profit. The profit maximising output, which is an output level where my cat equals my rat. MC equals MR. At the PE output, the productively efficient output, we can see that the price the consumer pays would be slightly less than under profit maximising conditions. The firm is still making supernormal profits, but they're not as large as the profit maximising output level. By definition, that's where profit maximisation occurs. At the productively efficient point, profit is not maximised. So they're still making supernormal profit, the blue square, just not as much as they were. The next thing that this diagram can show us is allocative efficiency. Allocative efficiency is quite important to organisations, such as governments, whose concern should be that of the population of the economy. Allocative efficiency occurs when the resources in the economy are distributed in a way that society receives the maximum benefit. It is, in terms of society, the best possible allocation of the resources. In terms of the diagram, this point can be found at an output where the cost of producing one more unit of output, the marginal cost, is the same as the population are prepared to pay for that unit of output. This is where MC equals AR, as AR is the same as the demand curve. This leads to a lower price for the consumer than if the producer was profit maximising, but could still lead to supernormal profit for the producer. The reason this point is so important is that this is the output where society benefits the most. So it is the ideal output for society. This is what the government should strive for if it is intending to regulate the monopoly. Remember though, this diagram is completely theoretical, so actually this output level will be very difficult to determine. Whoop whoop! Evaluation alert! Whoop whoop! Evaluation alert! Another output that could be significant for a business will be the revenue maximization output. This is the output level where the most amount of revenue that a firm could have coming into a business is achieved. This might be important at certain periods of the economic cycle, such as downturns or recessions, when cash flow is low and firms need money to come into the business. By pricing at the output level where MR equals 0, this is achieved. This is because at any greater output level, MR, the extra revenue gained from selling one more unit of output, is negative. So, by selling one more, as we have to drop the price of all the units of output in order to sell more, if we do not do this past a certain point, the total revenue the firm gets will go down. This is unlikely to be a long-term objective of the firm. It will be a measure to get through tricky economic or financial times. So if you face a question about the objectives of firms, this is one and can gain you evaluation marks by mentioning it is likely to be a short-term measure. As we can see, the price is lower than under profit maximization, and the ability for the firm to gain supernormal profit is still there. Another objective that a firm might have is to maximize the amount of sales that it makes. Again, this is likely to be a short-term objective. It's likely to be used in order to encourage growth of the firm in the longer term through more sales and therefore more customer loyalty. Obviously, the firm is unlikely to want to lose money whilst maximising sales, so it would choose the last level of output where it would not lose money. The output level where the average cost is the same as the amount of money that the firm will receive for it. Remember that the firm builds normal profit into cost, so some profit is made here, just not supernormal profit. As we can see, the price is now much lower than if the firm was profit maximising. Hence why so many more people want the product and why sales are maximised. The final use that I'm going to go through for the monopoly diagram is the effect of regulation upon a monopoly. One form of regulation is to impose a price cap. What this means is the firm doesn't decide the output level. All the firm can do is charge the price that the maximum price that the regulator has decided. This would obviously, for it to work, be lower than the price that I've highlighted here that the monopoly would charge if it was given the choice. So, as a result of this, the output level is decided where that price is equal to demand, Q1. And what we can see is, if we label the profit maximizing output, actually because of this price cap, more consumers are now consuming this product. This is obviously quite significant. Now more consumers get to consume the product. But at the same time, let's not forget, this monopoly is now making less supernormal profit. If it is an area where, for example, we would want to see dynamic efficiency, such as the energy market, where we actually want firms to make supernormal profits so they can find alternative sources of energy, then this could be a problem. Okay, so that is the monopoly diagram. One of the most important diagrams, as I said at the beginning, for Unit 3. Use it. Learn how to use it. It is extremely important and can be used in a whole variety of essays. I hope that made sense. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.